everyone, it's Natalie here, and this is the weekly guidance, weekly general reading for, what is today? Oh Lord, it is the Mercury retrograde happening, people. Happy Mercury retrograde! All we can do is laugh because, you know, that's how it is. Oh heavens. Yeah. Okay, so at least the moon's in Sagittarius. February. So 16th of February to the 22nd of February. We're getting through it. I'm getting there. I gotta be really authentic here, guys. I almost did not get this reading done today. There has been a lot coming up around the retrograde and just, woof. You know how sometimes life is like that. When you're this week I'm reading with the Indigo Alchemist Tarot. And I realized the other day, I don't think I've ever read for the general reading with the Indigo Alchemist Tarot. But this is a deck I really like a lot. And in fact, I use it a lot when I'm reading on the lines. And it was the one I just naturally reached for this week. It was sitting on my desk because I've been working with it a lot this weekend. And yeah, so here we go. And then I will be pulling a card from the Fine Lines meditation cards by Julianne Victoria. And honestly, we can all say thank you, Julianne, because I would not be doing this reading if it were not for Julianne this week. She talked me into it. I was really going to just bail, and I felt so much better after we spent some time chatting. So thank you, Julianne. So we'll be reading with her deck. So I already pre-selected our Fool from the deck, and this is definitely a she this time. All of these cards have this lovely like universe thing going on somewhere in the deck, and of course she's got some writing in her hair. It's such a beautiful, really underrated deck. Yeah. So, all right, we're going to shuffle her back in. Ooh, okay. So we're in the cups pile. Fabulous. You'll get a taste of this extremely sassy deck today because there's a bunch of sassy cards in this pile. So when we're in the cups pile, the solution to our problems, anything that comes up this week, can be found through feeling. Really allowing emotions to become feelings. Yeah, the emotion tends to arise first in the body. And then as it does, we have a choice to feel. And frequently getting the emotion through, because it's an emotion, right? It's supposed to move through the body and come out. Often feeling is the best way forward. It really releases the energy of that emotion and lets it go. And of course, you know, with the Fool, our significator in this pile, we're also looking at a situation where, you know, our feelings, our emotions, our relationships, and our heart is what we're contending with this week. It's what underpins anything else that comes up in the reading. All right, so that said, Going this way. Okay, so I shut the light off back here behind to take my little Instagramaton here. And I actually like the lighting better. I think it's easier to see the cards. So I'm going to leave it like this. With that said, we'll go ahead and do the count. So we've got the Fool, and she's worth 3. So 1, 2, 3. Our first card is the Queen of Cups. How appropriate. Okay. So she's worth 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nice. 2 of Wands. Yeah. And 1, 2. One of my favorites in the deck, the 7 of Wands. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Queen of Swords. Okay. Hi, Noah. Hi, Bubby. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the Fool. Very interesting. Oh, but the Fool's not in. Oh, but now she is. Okay. I got distracted by the dog. Okay, where did I go? So 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Queen of Swords. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the Fool wasn't in, but she is now. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3. The Devil. Always a good time. Let's see. Devil, I believe, is Zodiac. Zodiac, Devil, yeah. Yeah, Capricorn, right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we're back to the Queen of Swords. So let me double check our cards by recounting. And I'll be right back. Okay, they are correct. We have 5 cards this week. Is that right? No, we have 6. We have 6 cards. Starting with the Queen of Cups. The 2 of Wands. 7 of Wands. Queen of Swords. The Fool. And the Devil. Okay. Okay, so here we are. We've got all 6 of our cards here, including one of the sassiest ones in the deck, which I appreciate. This is also one of my favorite interpretations of the 2 of Wands, so wonderful card. Because it's going to affect the way I read this, I would like to go ahead and pull a Fine Lines card. So this is in case you haven't seen it yet, there's a walkthrough on my channel, but, you know, you get all of these different possibilities where there's literally a fine line, a thin line between one and the other. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just shuffle these off camera. Wow. All right. So here it is, our fine line that we're walking this week. Act of kindness versus action for a reward. So that's definitely going to be something that asks us to feel a little more deeply into our bodies and into ourselves if we're going to answer that question for ourselves with, wow, yeah, with complete honesty, right? Because we'd like to believe, most of us would love to believe that what we're doing is an act of kindness, but action for a reward is frequently behind that motivation. And here's the thing, right? The fine line is not necessarily to say that you choose one or the other. Sometimes we need to get something from what it is that we do. You know, this raises the question, does it diminish an act of kindness if ultimately we want something in return for it? Right? I think that's a really important question to ask. And I think that is not necessarily, sadly, like most things, I'm going to say, that's not always something that we can answer very easily. And I don't think it necessarily has to be the case that we choose one over the other. I really don't. I think it's sometimes okay that we can admit to ourselves, all right, I am going to do this thing, and here's what I am hoping to get out of it. Anyway, suffice it to say, this is the fine line we're looking at this week. All right, I could wax lyrical. I mean, this could be Dharma talk. These could be Dharma talk prompts. All right, so we'll just prop this one back here. So we're starting this week with the Queen of Cups, as we can see right over here. And so, you know, it looks like we're going to be coming to things from a place that's potentially kind of emotional. You know, our emotions may be very close to the surface, or we may find that our emotions are the more dominant place that we're arising from. And, you know, it may be that we're starting the week, for some of us, from a very altruistic place, right? The Queen of Cups, regardless of deck, I think has the potential to hold tremendous compassion and tremendous space for compassion. It's all about how we use, how we work with the heart, right? How we relate to our own heart space and the kind of heart space that we hold. So there's our Queen of Cups. So moving from that heart space, right, let's just say that this week, since we're working with acts of kindness versus an action for reward, let's say on some level we really are we are intending to come to our week from a place that holds space for compassion and for kindness. What's going to happen is that there may be some moments where we're hitting a ginormous pause. Where we need, I love this card. This Two of Wands is absolutely brilliant. If you look at it in greater detail, when you look at this Two of Wands, and I'm aware there's a little bit of glare happening, but it's, you know, the eyes are wide open. And we've got that universal energy filling the eye. So in order to know, it's interesting, it's the Two of Wands, which path do we take? Right? If we're looking at our week with care and we're looking at our actions with care, I think this is fascinating, right? Because, you know, I think we're going to be asked to pause and examine, you know, are we going this way for this reason, or are we going this way for that reason? Yeah. I mean, you know, I work as a doula, and a lot of people, I'm always fascinated when people say, "Oh, that's so nice of you." Hell no, I'm doing it because I'm earning money. You know, I'm doing action for a reward. I have to earn a living, people. You know, it is ultimately, on some level, there is an act of kindness behind it. Hopefully, I'd like to motivate myself from that place. But the truth of the matter is, I'm doing it for money. You know, I'm doing it to earn a living. So, you know, that's an interesting contemplation. What is it that we're motivated by? If we're starting the week, you know, and our emotions are most at the surface and what's guiding us, you know, what do we need? What are we being asked to pause and look at with greater clarity? What are the roots of that situation? And can we take an open heart into that viewpoint so that we can really feel the nature of what's there? Okay. And I think as we take a look at it, as we take a look at things, we're going to be faced with some defensiveness, right? So whatever the heart space or the emotional space is that we're coming from this week, as we pause to look more closely at it, as we do in the Two of Wands, we're going to find some things in there that make us a little defensive and make us want to, literally tell some aspects of our lives, or perhaps some people in our lives, to fuck off. Give me some space. Let me process this. Let me feel it out. Literally, let me feel this out. This is an interesting card, I think, too, where boundaries are concerned. I'm sure Julianne is laughing at me really hard. But yeah, I mean, I was just saying earlier, boundaries are something that I'm struggling with right now with my clients. Not my tarot clients, rather my end of life client, and the family. So yeah, asking for that space. It doesn't always have to be literally through telling somebody to fuck off and back off, right? But it's okay to feel that way on the inside, right? If we look at what we're dealing with, we're looking at the cups pile this week. This might be the feeling that comes up, like, yo, back off. I need space, and I need you to get out of my space right now. That's a boundary, right? And it's really okay. It's really okay to stop and tell someone that you need more space, or to get that space for yourself. Just to take yourself aside so that you can entertain that part of yourself, and just be with it. It's okay. So we may need to allow some space within ourselves for this defensiveness and this like back off. I need a boundary. I need a barrier between, this thing and the other thing, so that we can get some clarity for ourselves. And then I think, in that space that we create for ourselves through that Seven of Wands, that's the point at which, interestingly, the Queen of Swords can come through and help us, right, to get greater clarity. Look at this wisdom she's holding in her heart space. This Queen of Swords has a wise heart. So there is no real wisdom unless there is also compassion. And something I love about this particular deck is that our Queen of Swords, has been given a very wise heart space, which tells me that, and there's an eyeball inside of there. So this Queen of Swords is discerning and fair, and she's also seeing out of her heart at the same time she's seeing through her mind. We have this scales of justice back here, which tells me too that she's got a balanced heart-mind relationship. Okay, so what will come from this, just to go backwards, we've got this beautiful, I don't know how closely we looked at our Queen of Cups, but she's marvelous. But if you look at our Queen of Cups, she may be just a little overly romantic. So where the Queen of Cups in some decks is much more compassionate, this particular Queen of Cups may be erring on the side of just a little bit of romanticized fantasy where things are concerned in her life, right? So we may be coming from that space. And in order to know how to proceed forward with this kind of emotional nature, coming forward and leading us into the week, it's wise to pause and get a closer look at things. To look at look at the fine lines. Which path am I actually on here? And what are the roots of it? Can I see that with any level of clarity? And I'm going to say that the defensiveness that comes up, oh, I had to cut my nails off to go to the pottery studio today, so I don't have any nails left. Here we go. I'm going to say that coming out of this, we do need to pause, because before taking a path forward and knowing which path to take here, we're going to need some space, because it's bringing up some defensiveness. It's bringing up a need for more space for ourselves. Or we need, before we can proceed forward, we're going to need to tell someone else to back off. Give me more space, give me a little more time to really contemplate this. From that place, we can entertain the wisdom, the discerning, balanced wisdom of the Queen of Swords. And the space to do that and to operate from our own inner Queen of Swords is going to clear the path for us. See, we're starting to hold a good poker hand here. You like how I'm doing that? We then end up with our lovely Fool, right? Who's filled with, the freshness of, okay, maybe I can proceed on my path and look at things with greater clarity. Okay, so moving from that Queen of Swords, or going from that Queen of Swords, we actually know which path to take, and we've got the ability to move forward and take that path with the Fool. All right, as we move forward into that space, we're going to be encountering with some patterns. Again, some more older patterns that are going to pop up, that are going to show us a little bit more about, okay, I had to pause for just a second because I thought, wait a second, I'm seeing something in the patterning of these cards and in the way they're arranged. So, just looking here, we've got a first half of the journey, right, that gets us to this openness and this space. And then we've got the Queen, gaining some space for us. There is some space, I feel like, here. The Queen of Swords is in part what is helping us to hold this space for ourselves so that we know where to go next. And as we proceed forward, right, and the Fool, I feel like, is about the movement that's being mirrored here, right? These two, to me, feel like they're mirroring one another. These two feel like they're mirroring one another. And interestingly then, too, we have this Queen of Cups and the Devil mirroring one another. So, as we're moving, as we actually go from, I just feel like I need to take my emotions into the week, and, the way that I'm feeling is guiding what I do next, except that I'm kind of having to stop and spend some time seeing what's here, discerning what kind of path I want to take, what's motivating me, what's at the root of it. And I realize I'm defensive, I'm needing more space. I feel like there's going to be some stuff coming up here, right? Some choices that have to be made, and a necessity to take more space around those choices. Okay. The Queen of Swords, then, on the other side of that, from the point of, recognizing this, the Queen of Swords is what provides us with that heart wisdom, which is a combination of a discerning mind, a very clear mind, and the wisdom of compassion that comes with it. And the two of those in balance will guide us forward from a different place, right? From almost like a fresh start. Okay, I'm going to take a path, but the path I choose, I'm going to choose for my highest good. And I feel like the reason that we need to make that discernment, right, that we get with the Queen of Swords to take that higher path, is because that higher path is going to lead us in a direction that helps us know better how to deal with old patterns and older ways of being. So if we're feeling our way through some of those patterns, and sometimes that's all we can do is to feel through them. We can't really think our way through them. We just have to be with them. We're going to need to carry that wise discernment further into our path, into the week, in order to know what it is that underpins things. And I want to say, I feel very strongly that this Queen of Cups here and the Devil over here are giving us a very clear signal that the emotions we start with at the beginning of the week have some roots in some older stuff, some older patterns that we start, that lead to other places, earlier on in our lives. So I feel like, I don't want to just end on the Devil. So we have our fine line that we're walking, right? Which is act of kindness versus action for a reward, which feels like it perfectly matches with the energy of this reading. But I also really don't want to end it on just like, okay, so obey with those patterns that have come from your past, blah, blah, blah. Good luck with that. Because that just doesn't, I don't know. I just don't like it. So, and if y'all were my clients, I wouldn't leave you hanging there either. So, I'm going to pull from The Space Between the Notes by my friend and yours, Elrond Mills. Okay, we had a jumper. Came flying out of the deck, which they tend to with this particular deck. And the name of this card is Lead, which is rather wonderful. When you look at the imagery there, there's a lot to be with. And the first two quotes, actually, that come from the book, right at the top. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. How beautiful is that? That's by John C. Maxwell. And the next quote, very interesting. Leadership is about taking responsibility, not making excuses. And that is a quote by Mitt Romney. And those of you who live in the States, and perhaps those who don't, that he's someone who has really proven that he's ready to walk his talk. So definitely a leader from that perspective. Okay, so of course, Elrond has a lot to say about leadership. Leadership is not about carrying other people on your back and doing all the work for them. Leadership is about inspiring people who share your vision and are eager to participate. If they are not, there is nothing you can do about it. Leadership means taking the responsibility for a vision and seeing it through, pushing the boulder up the mountain, and putting endless hours into something that may or may not come to fruition. The difficulty of this process perhaps explains why we have a leadership crisis in the world today. Too many leaders perpetuate the status quo, and few have the courage and tenacity to change it. Courageous, authentic leadership is rare. This is why truly great leaders find themselves in history books. We honor them and salute them for the sacrifices required to accomplish such great things, often in the face of enormous opposition. We all need to exercise authentic leadership in our own lives. We must have the courage to move forward into the horizon of our own vision, not someone else's, and to make the difficult choices required. Yes, there will be a price to pay, but it will be worth it. Oh, there's another chunk here that's really, really interesting because of the way it will fit with our reading this week. Another aspect of this card for me, since it originated from the meditation prompt of, quote, become the rabbi, end quote, is compassion. I have always thought of rabbis as spiritual advisors, but I believe we are all called to serve in that role. So sometimes I serve as the rabbi, and other times I need to seek out a rabbi for myself. In either case, the situation is about owning one's power, stepping into the responsibility entailed by that power, and using that power to help others. When this card comes up, you are asked to courageously head into the direction of your vision. Have compassion for others, but be ready for an uphill battle. It will be worth it. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, I probably have left that card all over the place while I was trying to read. But there we go. So, interesting thing there. Because the queens are leaders in their own right. The fool can be a leader in their own right. And in order to really lead properly, we have to face the difficulties, the things that bind us, the things that hold us back, and, be with those in the form of self-leadership. We have to take a gentle, compassionate perspective of the patterns in our lives that hold us back and kind of bind us, and if we can go inside to the deepest, best parts of who we are, the parts of us that are the leader that's being spoken about here by Elrond, we have the ability to befriend, the more difficult aspects of ourselves. In the Tibetan tradition, interestingly, when you have something that's binding you or holding you back, and this is probably a practice I should engage in this week, actually, but we call it feeding your demons. And instead of banishing your demons, your inner demons, you call them out and you welcome them to the meditation mat with you. And you sit with them and you dialogue with them and ask them who they are. What are they needing from you? What is it that they'd like to know? What is it that they're wanting? What is it that they're missing? What's made them hurt? What's made them angry? And then you visualize your whole body very compassionately feeding a nectar that just kind of emanates from you, feeding that demon until it is fully satisfied. And I will tell you from having done this practice, it generally completely transforms the image in your mind of what that demon looks like. And it turns it from a demon into an ally. And that ally holds wisdom. But in order to access that wisdom, we have to be willing to lead from within ourselves. We need to be able to hold space within ourselves that is interested in integrity. So being the rabbi. Yeah. All right, folks. So with that, I welcome all of us and strongly encourage all of us to become self-led, become the leaders inside of ourselves for our own behalf and for others. Yeah. All right. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.